and welcome to This Is Edging.
What? No,
We're going to be doing it with Samsung.
No. Galaxy S25 Edge, to be very, very specific. Not anything else that you might be thinking. No.
You can edge even more in your life now.
I regret the
You
video
can edge on your Samsung Edge.
No, it's a thin edge. That's why they call it.
Oh! Well,
Edge.
I thought it was something very different, which is why I was escorted out of Unpacked.
As of recording this, just got back from Samsung's lovely Unpacked event in San Jose. And they announced the normal stuff, the S25, the Plus, the Ultra. I have the S25 Ultra here. In addition to them saying the words AI 155 times throughout the keynote. But there's also a little bit of a surprise announcement of the Galaxy S25 Edge. And Samsung are being pretty coy with it. They showed the video and specifically said, we're not telling you anything else. The idea is really simple. Take a Galaxy S25, pull the rolling pin out and go, make it thinner.
This is not that much of a shock because there's been all sorts of rumors about an upcoming iPhone 17 Air. We see this with the iPad for the past couple of years of like, why can't we just do this on a phone?
I mean, it's fair. I mean, you think also about like folding phones, right?
I'm glad you bring that up because I have the best folding phone that has ever been. This is the Microsoft Surface Duo.
I mean, I will say that is incredibly thin, but that's like not totally wild because you look at something like the Huawei triple phone, or even think about like the Honor Magic, the V2 that we did a video on a year or two ago. And these are phones that are very thin for a really good reason. When you have a folding phone, you double the thickness when you close it up, right? So you want to make that as thin as possible. And because of that, there actually have been some interesting developments, mostly when it comes to like batteries with something like silicon carbide, which is allowing you to fit a still very reasonable size, like 4,000 or 5,000 milliamp hour battery in a phone, which is super thin. My thought is that, when I first saw this announcement, it looks like it's just an objective downgrade. You can clearly see there's only 2 cameras on the back of the phone. The rumors it's supposed to be like 6.4 millimeters thin, and the regular S25 is 7.2. So you're talking about the difference of a millimeter. I will say 1 millimeter probably is not gonna make a big difference. It's the thickness of the case. I'm told I'm not allowed to make any more jokes like that. Good, great. It's an interesting thought because if they're making the phone slightly thinner, they're putting maybe like some new tech, like a silicon carbide battery. I like the idea of the Edge being like, oh, this is like our experimental phone. I want to be optimistic. I really do. But we don't know much about it besides it's coming eventually. It's gonna cost less than the Ultra, probably, and it might just be objectively worse. Lately, the audience has been pointing out that I tend to be a negative Nancy. What? This is where I want to be positive. Be positive. I try to be positive. Let's do it. I like that they're trying to do something different because we've said this a lot. The cell phone has been stagnant for years. Well, besides folding phones. I'm trying so hard right now. Sorry, I won't mention folding phones anymore until I do again. Yeah, when I say I think this phone is the same as last year. Yeah, it's mostly. Now, when I say that, I don't care that it looks identical to last year's phone. Because guess what? It looks good. The iPhone looks really nice. The exact same. Right. But when I say it's the same phone as last year, it's because any of the new features are ones that aren't tangible. I criticized Apple for this. You come out with the 16 and the entire selling point is it can do AI. When I say I want a phone to be different, I want something that's tangible. Now, we have gotten that with Samsung in the past. The huge selling point for the Ultra has been, we have this massive telephoto lens. But here's the thing with the telephoto lens. Physically, it needs to be larger. Stop getting super close to me. I'm not the moon. I know I'm white and big and round, but I'm not the moon. This is me being positive. I'm being negative in a positive way. Companies are taking people saying, oh, this is the same phone as last year. Yeah. And I think they're taking the wrong sides of that. I want to know who's asking for a thinner phone. No, hold on. No, wait. Let me put my hand up. I want you to ignore you. Because you're a tech YouTuber who changes his phone on a whim. You've been on the Z Flip for 5 years. 5 years. And then you got bored of it. And then so you said, you know what? I'm just gonna go buy the Pixel 9. And now a secret you whispered into my ear, way too close, by the way. Like, we were sitting right here. You didn't need to get over my shoulder to whisper this. He goes, I'm gonna get the Edge. Okay, so let me explain myself. Okay, at Unpacked, there was, after the keynote had ended, they lift up the big thing and everyone goes to do hands-on. And the area for the edge, you had to elbow your way through. Ken literally had to elbow his way all the way to the front to get these beautiful shots. Oftentimes when there's like a Samsung event, just a little inside baseball here, a lot of us are able to get hands-on of the phones early. So whether it's a day or a few days earlier. So everyone had already probably got their videos and posted it during the event, but no one knew that the edge was actually going to be there. So that was a real surprise, and everyone really wanted to get that actual footage. I want to be skeptical because it is totally possible that this is a regular S25 that they have removed on the cameras. Because again, the regular S25 has 3. This only has 2 cameras, so it's presumably dropped the telephoto. I can't imagine they would get rid of the ultra-wide.
I would assume it physically cannot fit it in there.
One of the reasons why the Ultra is thicker than the regular S25 is because you have the actual periscope telephoto lens.
Which is also why we keep having these big camera bumps, by the way.
You need depth.
Yeah.
Like the camera, like literally the lenses need space. Otherwise you can't pull off things like telephotos unless you have like a baby little sensor.
It also messes up with focus.
There's definitely a cynical side of this, which is Samsung, they know the rumors that Apple is going to bring out a thinner, Air or whatever they decided to call it, but like a thinner version of the iPhone this year. They wanted to get ahead of it. They wanted to pre-announce the S25. We have no idea. It could be shipping in 2 months or 4 months or 6 months. We don't know. I want to give them a little bit of the benefit of the doubt here. Now, let me break down why I am excited and actually why I did not pre-order an S25. We're very fortunate to get review units, and I'm working on a video on the S25 Ultra. I'll tell you, this phone is entirely too damn big. I'm not on the Kinsey train. I can't rock a 7-inch tablet in my pocket all the time.
Well, that's natural when you're 5'2".
You know what? That was uncalled for. Normally, I am very interested in the small phone. Like I really liked the S22. The S24 was quite nice. The S25, the base model, I'm like, oh sweet, this is good. But I'm actually gonna hold out. I'm not gonna order an S25 for myself personally until the Edge has been fully revealed, because I kind of feel like that might be my move. The thing is, we don't know what the footprint is. So I think it's a little bit bigger screen-wise.
Which, again, I don't like. I loved the iPhone mini.
Yes! Wait, pause. Can we just give a love letter to the iPhone mini real quick?
It wasn't popular.
Yeah, it wasn't.
Which is sad. If they had done a Pro Mini, to me would have been my perfect phone.
I rocked the 12 mini and I rocked the 13 mini. Do you remember the E line, the S10e? That was slightly smaller than the regular version. Both Samsung and Apple have tried doing the smaller screen size. We're at a point in which clearly the small phones did not work. Every small phone has essentially died, and a small phone now is like a 6.2 or 6.3 inch display.
I personally don't think they gave it a chance. If they'd just done a bigger push with that marketing wise, I think they could have caught on.
Honestly, I really think when people are buying their phone, they want a big screen. If you think about all of the devices that an average sort of user will touch in a day, the phone is by far the most. And when you're scrolling TikTok and watching video and Netflix and all this kind of stuff, you want that bigger screen. I get it. Now, I just personally am very happy with the trade-off of a little bit of a smaller phone just because it fits better in your pocket and all this kind of stuff. But let's just hear this sort of idea for the Edge out, because I know that a lot of people are like, nah, it's dumb and stupid, but give them a little bit of benefit of the doubt and kind of think about why it might be decent.
Hold on though. We've talked about, phones slightly thinner for years.
Yeah.
Years. The number one comment we get on any of it is, I don't care that it's a millimeter thinner. I would prefer it to be a little bit thicker and give me more battery life.
Well, guess what? That's why all the other phones exist, right? This is an additional option, and I suspect that the S25 Edge is going to be a little bit more of a limited production device. My guess here is that they will release the Edge in, maybe small-ish batches, maybe only in certain countries, maybe certain carriers. Hear me out on why I think the Edge could be decent, right? So yes, a little bit thinner. I don't think that makes a huge difference, but I do appreciate the fact that it will be theoretically a little bit easier to hold. But if they have a silicon carbide battery, they could absolutely fit the same size battery cell as something like an S25 vanilla. Now, the camera is something that I'm a little bit more curious about, because obviously going from 3 lenses to 2, you would think that this is gonna be the cheaper phone. But I don't get the impression that the Edge is going to be $699 as opposed to $799 of the regular S25. This is going to probably be $900 or $1,000.
Well, that's what the Flip was. Flip was more expensive. It was about a generation behind tech-wise. Yeah,
But if they're able to do that, I get that the idea seems a little bit weak, and I do agree with everyone who's kind of pointing out, this seems like a weird way for Samsung to try things. But you know what? I'm happy that they're trying things because the S25 line is very similar to the S24 line, which wasn't that big of a difference from the S23 line. And even if this is not going to completely revolutionize things, if it's a different option so that you want that phone that's a little bit thinner, well, cool, great, you got another option for it. And when you do slap a case on it, it's going to be still roughly the same thickness of a regular S25. I don't know that it's going to be that great. It might be terrible, and we might be like, oh, this thing is terrible. But I'm like kind of excited. Like this actually could be kind of decent. And I'm gonna wait to actually buy an S25 until I see what the Edge is all about.
And I can't wait to push you off that edge. Have I been nice enough this episode?
No, you need to be a little more nice. Before you unleash, can you say like a little bit more niceness? Like how you're gonna love the iPhone Air this year and how that thin phone's gonna be great. Maybe the iPhone SE that's coming out in a couple months is also gonna be thin and delightful. Tell me something nice about this whole concept.
I like that they are in fact trying something new. You don't have to buy it. Yeah. It is another option.
Yep.
It's not replacing something.
Yep.
That's the enemy being nice. Since the invention of the smartphone,
What's that?
the one complaint has been the battery life. We wish it could be better.
Do you think that with a current 2024, 2025 flagship, the battery life is a huge concern? Have we not mildly solved this problem?
We have, but we haven't. If we stop shrinking these phones, we could start saying we're gonna do a 5,000 milliamp hour battery, a 6,000 milliamp hours. I think it's a way more convenient, such better quality of life to say, you know what? Here is a sleek smartphone that can last 2-3 days. You could do both. You could say like we have this new battery technology.
But
yes, we have
but
like.
hear me out.
Okay. All right.
If you pick up something like a OnePlus 13, you're getting a 6,000 milliamp hour battery and you're getting the Snapdragon 8 Elite. That is an actual 2-day of battery life phone. Stay subscribed to the Denki channel because Ken's got a OnePlus 13 video cooking. But the 8 Elite is quite an efficient chip. If you are able to burn through a battery like this or the OnePlus in one day, may I just suggest that maybe you're using your phone a little too much?
No, it's not about using your phone too much. This is not just for phones.
Sure,
And
sure.
it's definitely not just for Samsung.
Yeah.
I'm gonna say the same thing about iPhone with this as well.
Yeah.
The thing holding back these devices from being baller, next gen, mind blowing, amazing is battery life.
But that's a different argument. Of course, everyone says the Steam Deck needs more battery and the ROG Ally,
Sure,
even the Switch.
but-
like a phone, if you're getting 8, 9, 10 hours of screen on time in a day, is that not enough?
Or
Like, I'm
are
serious,
you
like, is
just conditioned to think that the one day is all you ever need? But would it not be more convenient if suddenly we have the ability for a phone to just be normally 2-3 days of
But
battery
again,
life?
the OnePlus 13 is a regularly sized
and
phone.
I'm applauding
that
that
lasts 2 days.
phone.
It already exists. You can buy a phone if that's what you really care about. You can buy a phone with a mega battery, super efficient processor, still flagship performance, and you can call it a day, right? If you don't quite put so much emphasis on the actual battery life like I do, then I might be able to get something that's a little bit slimmer, and I'm having to make that trade-off.
Why does this have to be the experimental phone that costs $1,000?
We don't know that. We don't know that.
Well, companies now have this ability to give us the one thing we've asked for 15 years. And I feel like that's like the one thing that they're holding back on us now. If you look at battery life on a cell phone, year to year, it's not that much different.
It's getting better.
It's getting better, but not like
if you go back to a flagship from 2020, what you're looking at is a phone that is going to have significantly worse battery life than a phone of 2024, 2025. Things have gotten better. Like
it's a couple hours. It's not a couple days.
Sure, but I guess what I'm saying here is that the Edge has potential for me because all I care about is making it through one day comfortably. And I would say that the vast majority of flagships out there will do that at this point.
I would say budget phones have better battery life.
A lot of times.
Yeah, because the processors aren't as powerful. The screens aren't as bright, and they're not as high resolution. With any of these types of phones, let's solve the problems that people consumers are asking for before we start throwing darts at the wall.
But that's already been solved. Like you can buy phones, whether it's on the budget or on the high end, that have a full 2 days of battery life.
I want to hear the comments. Would you prefer a slightly thinner phone or an extra day of battery life?
But that's not the debate here. The debate is giving you the choice. You can buy the phone with 2 days of battery life. You can buy the phone with 1 day of battery life in a more fun, cool design.
But if we're talking about just Samsung, we're not talking about you can buy the phone with 2 days.
Okay,
of
yes,
battery
the S25 Ultra probably does have a
the
full
one thing
2
we
days.
celebrate about Samsung is they have a phone for everyone.
I just think that, yes, of course, more is always better. You don't want to, only work out one arm and you have like, one little baby arm and two little baby legs, you have to make a series of trade-offs for any device, right? If you want to make it thicker, you can fit more things in it, but then it's going to be less sort of nice to hold and yada, yada, yada. So like, to me, obviously there is an advantage in having more battery. But at a certain point, do you want to spend all your stat points in one thing and lower everything else? And maybe if the Edge does have a 4,000 milliamp hour battery, and maybe if it does have a dope camera and it's thinner and it's not gonna be super expensive, that's a reasonable trade-off. And the same thing goes for something like the iPhone Air. If the Air or the Samsung S25 Edge come out and they are just objectively worse, then obviously that's dumb, right? Unless it's way cheaper. Like, I'm going into this with the assumption that these phones is a test bed for maybe a cool new antenna design. It's a test bed for trying to cool that phone as efficiently as possible. The whole back of it is like
you could pay extra money to be the beta tester.
Look, it's an option for me to buy if I want a little bit of a different, unique device that I don't want the exact same slab phone that I buy every year.
It is the same slab phone. It's 1 millimeter thinner. The fact that this is being like, oh, this is like a crazy revolution. It's not.
No, but it makes a difference, right? Like a phone that you're holding all day long, if it's a little bit thinner, a little bit lighter, that does add up.
Oh my God, my back is so hurting because of this extra 3 grams. You're arguing against yourself with this of saying like, oh, every device has trade-offs. What I'm saying is by keeping it the same thickness and adding all this extra stuff, those are the trade-offs in the same device. We've said that these phones are amazing for like 5 years now. So let's take the design that people love already and then improve upon that internally with tangible assets. If this here is something that people love, you don't need to reinvent the wheel. And when I say, I can't speak for everyone, that this is the same phone as last year, I'm okay with that from a physical standpoint. I want to see some sort of tangible improvement on the next year model. When we start saying like, okay, well, it's like, oh, this is running 25% faster and things will load 0.001%, like 1 second
actually,
faster.
it's like 30% faster. It's actually substantial.
Yeah, but you don't really notice it if you have the one last year because it was already so good.
Sure.
And like, if the whole thing is, oh, we're gonna come out and here's like all this software features,
which should come to all the phones. I agree. But we're arguing two different things. More choice is better. And if they use the S25 Edge as a test bed for this new tech, and they roll out that battery and all the other stuff to the S26 next year or something, great, that's fine. But like, this is we're losing nothing here, right? You don't have to buy an Edge.
Like by making this a $1,000 phone.
Maybe, we don't know.
Well,
we don't know.
By your logic.
It probably will be.
By your logic.
Sure.
I think that's why the Fold didn't catch on.
It's too expensive.
It's too expensive for the most people.
Yep.
Let's test out our batteries in cheaper phones, which can offset the cost while we learn to produce them better, manufacture them more efficiently.
This is not really that different than what Samsung have done in the past. In fact, the very first Edge phone that Samsung ever brought out was the Note Edge. It was a version of the Galaxy Note 5 that had just a single curved corner. Samsung have used the word edge, even though I've said it way too many times in this video, as a way to test new stuff for a long time. Now, if it was just called Galaxy S25 Slim, I would be less excited. But because they're calling it the Edge, because it does seem like it's going to have some new tech that the other S25s don't, I'm excited for it. I'm excited for Samsung to try something else. I'm very excited to see what Apple do with the iPhone Air this year. I think more options are better. If they suck, we'll know about it soon and no one has to buy it. But at least I'm glad that someone's trying something other than making the existing slab phones that are very good, even slightly better, and making folding phones better. They can also make some more Z Flips. That would be great.
Let us know what you think in the comments. Are you going to buy a Slim or are you going to go with the chunky boy? Like, follow, subscribe, and we'll catch you in the next one.
I'm a big fan of Slim, actually. I think smaller the better. So, this is a sidebar for a little bit of bigger conversation. With the Ultra this year, they have, as far as I know, removed Bluetooth from the pen. So you can no longer take your selfies. The Galaxy S25, not the phone for flexing on the gram with.